Hello, spooky babes. It is the best month of the year. If you have been watching my videos, you know I love Halloween. I love all things spooky and scary, and I love answering your scary questions. If you have not been with me before, I'm Ryan from Rock the Divine. I am a medium and a mentor, and I really enjoy teaching other people to utilize their intuition, and I also like removing the mystery and myths surrounding the spirit realm to make you feel more empowered. Having said that, for these videos, I like things to get a little spooky. But I do want to remind everyone that as much as we're having fun with all of this for the month of October, you are always in charge and you have way more power available to you than you'll ever realize. I'm back to where it all started, in the guest bedroom. This is where I started filming my videos, and I came in here for my spooky video because it's a little darker than my office. So I'm sitting on the floor. At some point my legs will probably fall asleep. Now, if I didn't answer your question, either I didn't feel it made sense for the spooky video, it might be something I've already answered, or it was something I have to psychically look into. I do not look into things psychically on YouTube. That would be me forming connections with each and every one of you, and like my head would explode, or I would be so drained I'd have to sleep for a month. I only psychically tune in for clients. Okay, the first question. Now, this question, to really know what's going on, I would have needed to psychically tune into it. But I think from experience, I have a pretty good understanding of what's happening. This person, when they move, they tend to sage their home, and the home usually feels pretty good until they sage it, and then the activity seems to kick up. She's afraid to sage the new place she's in because it feels good right now, and she's afraid that that will happen. So what's happening? Is the sage making activity kick up? Probably not. Sage is really good at clearing lower vibrations and negative energies. Does it get rid of spirits? Yes. I mean, it can if you're raising the vibration of the space that you're in and clearing away lower vibrations and negative energies. Absolutely, you make your space less welcome to icky crawlies, okay? But if you've really got some shit hanging out with you or in the space you're in, sage is only going to be so effective. Okay, so I don't want to knock you from using it. I just want you to remember that if you've got some heavy stuff going on, you probably need to do more than sage, or that would explain why the sage isn't working. It's just not strong enough. I think that you have things following you. I think that it's not actually the space that is haunted. I think that you have some hitchhikers. That's what's happening. That's the first thing. They're very aware of your energy and of your thoughts, and they pick up on them telepathically. So when you're about to sage, or you do sage, and you're like, oh, geez, I hope it gets rid of all this stuff. Oh, da, da, da. They're like, let's put on a show for her because she's a little nervous about this. And so I think that they're doing this for attention, all right? I think that they probably don't like that you're saging because they know that your intent is to get rid of lower beings. So that's making them act up. And also they're trying to get a rise out of you. What I feel that you need is to ask your angels and guides to actually give you a clearing and to remove these hitchhikers that are following you from place to place. Between focusing on your own clearing and not being fearful or worried that the sage will kick up the activity, you should be able to get rid of the hanger-ons that you've got going on. I just want to point out my cute little t-shirt. It says boo, boo. I swear my baby sees spirits. Can I ask them to protect him? Is there a way to figure out who they are? You are awesome. Thank you. Well, you're awesome too. So thank you, and thank you for submitting the question. So does your baby see spirits? More than likely, yes. Children, and especially babies, have not had their third eye blocked, basically from life, and from adults telling them things aren't real. So they can definitely see things that are unseen to grown-ups, okay? So when you see babies sort of following things and it looks like they're really paying attention to something that's not there, they're more than likely seeing angels, even spirit guides, even elementals of the light, okay? And you ask, can I ask them to protect him? Well, you can, but you don't need to. If you could see the protection that not only you have, but that your baby has, you'd be completely overwhelmed. Your baby is always being protected. He has his own spirit team that is helping him at all times. What's helpful are prayers. If you want to pray for your protection, pray for the baby's protection. Prayers are very strong, they work, and that's really all that you need to do. But no, even if you don't do it, they are being protected. This question also was very similar to the one I answered right before. You're saying that your son would talk about seeing purple and blue bubbles, glitter spots coming out of the ceiling at night. Yep, just angels. That's what angels tend to look like. Even to me, usually when I see bright sparkles in front of me out of the corner of my eye, they are angels. So just know he's just very tuned into seeing the unseen. And the question I get asked all the time is about Ouija boards, about why are Ouija boards a problem. Isn't using a pendulum the same thing? So I'm going to try to make this short and as clear as I can. Ouija boards are dangerous because of what you're doing with them. And literally the Ouija board could be tarot, it could be a pendulum, it could be anything you're doing to invoke spirits. That's the problem with a Ouija board, is you are basically knocking on a spirit door and asking for whoever wants to come forward to come forward. With a pendulum, the reason it's different is if you are using it differently. So when I use my pendulum, I am asking for protection, and then I'm also asking that only those of the highest vibration of the light answer through the pendulum, such as angels and my spirit guides, okay? With a Ouija board, in theory, you could ask that only angels and spirit guides answer through the board. It is unlikely that they will talk to you through the spirit board, and the reason for that is because of the reputation that it holds. When objects have a long history of being used to talk to entities and earthbound spirits and what have you, the angels and spirit guides don't want to interact with you that way, so there wouldn't be any confusion or misunderstanding. Okay, I'm not saying that they wouldn't interact at all, but they generally were explaining to me that they would stay away from that because of its history and its reputation. When people compare them to a medium talking to deceased loved one or any other type of spiritual work, it's like, no, Ouija boards are to talk to entities and ghosts that you don't know, and you're not sure if they're even telling the truth. That is what makes them very dangerous. And to be honest with you, even a pendulum can be dangerous in the wrong hands. I have had my pendulum that I only interact with higher evolved beings with interfered with. I had a pendulum that was compromised and got entities attached to it. Even though I always protected myself, I always protected the pendulum, there was no reason for it to happen. It still happened, and I had to get rid of that pendulum. I was able to find out that there was entities answering through my pendulum and that they were lying, and had I continued conversing with them, they could have attached to my energy quite easily. A spirit might seem to be telling the truth, but you don't really know who you're talking to unless you hire a medium and they're sitting there with you. You don't know who you're talking to, and it's very, very easy to get attachments because of its long history of its intent. You tend to get lower spirits that will communicate with you that way. The other thing is when any object, including a Ouija board, is being used to communicate with lower beings, they attach a lot of times to that object. So yes, it could be a pendulum. If you've been using a pendulum to converse with ghosts, you will start to get attachments to that pendulum, and then the pendulum can be dangerous. And that's how a Ouija board becomes dangerous also. The board itself is just, cardboard, but its intent, what you're doing with it, who you're conversing with it, and what has attached to it is what gives it its power. My foot fell asleep. I didn't think it would happen this soon. I don't know how people sit cross-legged for a long time. Okay, the next question. This person was asking about the crystal skulls and if they were real, and what do my spirit guides say? It seems to be that some of the skulls are real, some are falsified, is what I heard, and to me, there seems to be an alien galactic energy to where they came from. This person said they were talking about taking pictures and seeing orbs, and sometimes they say orbs and sometimes they don't, and sometimes the orbs have faces in them. Why do these orbs appear sometimes with faces? I would say that, you're going to see orbs in photos where there's more spirit activity, okay? And sometimes there will be a lot of activity at that moment, and you could take pictures again there the next time, the next night, and there would be no orbs. Energy moves, and there's things going on in the atmosphere that make activity stronger on certain days, and lots of reasons. Why do some of the orbs have faces? Well, some of it is an illusion. I'm just going to say that straight out. Like sometimes it's like we make sense of things we're seeing. They tend to look like a face, even if it's not really a face. So keep that in mind. Sometimes, are you really seeing faces? I believe you are, because the energy of that orb, of who it was, I guess is the best way to explain that, is sort of showing itself to you, okay? But keep that in mind, to be straight up. Sometimes what really looks like a face isn't, and sometimes you actually are seeing the energy of that orb coming across as a face. All right, speaking of this person was asking about aliens, and funny story, last night I saw Archangel Markiel standing in my living room, and was just playing on my phone, minding my business, buying stuff I don't need. Archangel Markiel was there to protect me from aliens. I don't know if that was for all of us or just me, but I was very appreciative of it. Ain't nobody got time for aliens, okay? This person wanted to know, they've been watching the woman, I don't know her name in the Dead Files, but she had encountered some aliens that were in a house in addition to some deceased people, and she'd stated that aliens could not be removed. Do you know how to clear aliens from a home? So what I want to say is, without psychically tuning in or watching that episode, I don't know why she said that the aliens couldn't be removed. Do I know how to clear aliens from a house? Yes, and you can do it too. You call in protection and you ask God, source, the universe, your angels and spirit guides to clear all alien energy from your home. Basically, I mean, there's some other stuff I could give you, but that's basically the gist of it. A lot of times people have super intricate and very elaborate ways to go about clearings and what have you. I'm not saying they're not effective, they are, but a lot of times it's more saying, this is my house, get the hell out, okay? Oh, this is a good question. This person asked, what's up with the thin veil during Halloween? They're saying that the energy of the month of October always feels so different. So the veil is not actually thinner during the month of October or Halloween night. I know that it does feel different, and it even, this whole month feels different for me. What's really going on is that because of hundreds of years or longer, I guess, of celebrating Halloween and, being very aware of spirits this month and decorating our homes and dressing up as spirits and watching scary things and on and on. Basically, though, we're just invoking these things to come closer to us. And here's an example. The other night, I finally had time to decorate my house for Halloween. We got one little pumpkin over here, but I got lots of stuff sprinkled everywhere, and I was getting in this really spooky mood, and the leaves are falling, and I'm like, it's Halloween. I start reading scary stories and what have you. And I noticed all of a sudden a lot of activity in my house. I could see things out of the corner of my eye and things sort of moving in front of me, sort of staticky looking things. And it's basically because I'm calling it in. You technically make that veil thinner between you and that world. And if you imagine, we have hundreds and thousands of people, actually millions, millions of people celebrating spooky stuff this month. So, that's quite powerful. It's okay. My foot is only half asleep now, so we're doing a little better. This person asked about cold spots. If a ghost or something weird's in the room, it might get cold, or you might sense a cold breeze on your back or across your face. And this person's wondering what's actually happening that creates that cold spot. So everything is energy. So what happens is if you have a lower being or an earthbound spirit that has that's vibrating with a certain energy, like let's say a lower vibration. So it affects not only the energy it's in, it can utilize the energy it's in also. And what happens is that if, let's say it's 75 degrees and you have a lower level spirit kind of coming through, it affects that energy and it drops the temperature. I am not a science major, minor, or anything of the sort, but you can get the gist of what I'm saying here. A cold spot does not necessarily mean something's low level or bad or anything like that, because even angels can actually affect the temperature in a cooler sense. I've been around angels where things get very, very warm. And I've also had, generally saying, I don't know if this is for everyone, but for me, when I feel a cold breeze just across my face, that can also be an angel. And again, they are pure energy and they simply are affecting the molecules and energy around us, and that can change the temperature. I would say if you want to know if something's icky or not, is how it's making you feel. Generally, like an angel won't make the whole room feel cold or give you kind of weird chills up your back. So those are things also to look out for. But that basically is what's occurring. Those spirits are energy and they will affect the energy that they're in. This person was asking, when you see things out of the corner of your eyes, dark shadows that dart away quickly, well, you're seeing lower beings, and that's, a whole long list of what it could be. But for argument's sake, to keep it simple, let's just say you're seeing lower beings. And lower beings you will tend to see out of the corner of your eye. It's very fast. It can make you even doubt, because you kind of do one of these where you're like, was there something there? And yeah, there probably was. So this person asked about possession and if it is a real thing. And the oversimplified answer is yes. I asked my angels and guides to confirm it, and yes, but they do want you to know it is very, very rare. You get stuff in your energy all the time. All of you watching me right now have all kinds of shit in your energy that you're not even aware of, okay? And that's why self-care is important. Protecting your energy is important. Cutting cords of attachment is important. I mean, I could go on and on about the things that are important for your energy so your angels and guides can clear this crap, okay? So having said that, it's not too far-fetched to think, well, if I can get all kinds of weird things in my energy daily, even from maybe watching the news, could you get something very, very dark? Yes. Do you have to give permission? Yes. And the problem is, these beings can be very tricky about how that permission was given, okay? What you consume, and I don't mean just food, I mean what you watch, who you interact with, playing with Ouija boards, there's lots of ways that a being could get in your energy. It's just how big and bad are they, okay? The bigger and the badder, the more it affects you physically, all right? The things you see in movies and what have you, that's exaggerated. I mean, it can be detrimental to someone. It can make their thoughts skewed and their actions messed up, and it can make them sick. I mean, it definitely can happen, but it's not exactly like the movies, all right? And it's not even as common as the movies make it seem. But yes, possession is real. And without going really, really deep down a rabbit hole, there's some agreements with that, contracts, permissions. I mean, there's all kinds of things that had to happen for that to happen. It is not something generally you need to walk around and be worried about. Just protect your energy in a reasonable sense. Don't play with dark things, dark objects. Don't call in dark spirits, or don't even call in spirits that you don't know who they are. I mean, all that kind of thing. Like, that's your best way to avoid it, but generally it's not something that you need to actively be concerned about. I'd love to know what you call the dark hooded figures. The dark hooded figures. That's what I call them. We keep it simple here at Rock the Divine. This person asked about graveyards. Are lower spirits attracted to them? And are they more active during the night? There's a mix of things that go on. So lower spirits can be attracted to the sadness, the despair, that sort of energy that occurs at a graveyard, because, you know, we buried a loved one, and there's probably a lot of sadness there, and maybe we visit them and we're sad whenever we visit, and that energy can attract lower beings. Absolutely. Graveyards are more scary because of their reputation, because we make them scary. You know, there's dead bodies buried there, and, you know, ghost stories about graveyards have been around for hundreds of years, and it's sort of like the Halloween question. Part of what makes a graveyard active is our imagination, and that we think it's going to be active sort of draws in those lower spirits to that energy. Why does it feel more spooky at night? Same reason, because we think it's spooky, and that sort of fear and trepidation and nervousness brings in those types of spirits. So you can see very much how your energy and your thoughts affect things. And when you put that on a larger scale and you put that over a longer period of time, it can actually create hauntings in spooky places. What would keep a spirit entangled in the 3D? So technically, and I think you mean an earthbound, a ghost, okay? Because there's lots of different beings, and they're in certain dimensions because that's what their energy is a vibrational match for, is that dimension. When it comes to earthbound's ghost, we'll say ghost, what would keep them stuck from crossing over? Technically, they're not in the third dimension. They're in the fourth dimension. That is generally where earthbounds are hanging out. And that's why when you're seeing them, for the most part, you don't see them solid. I'm not saying it never happens, so don't write below and say you saw it solid. I know, sometimes it can be. But mostly you are seeing something translucent, or something that isn't there very long. And that is because they're hanging out in the fourth dimension. What can keep them from crossing over? Trauma, despair, sadness, feeling like that they didn't finish certain things in this lifetime, fear about crossing over. There's many reasons that can keep a spirit staying here. Anger. I mean, basically all the not very good vibrations and emotions are what can keep a spirit lingering on the earthly plane. Some hauntings are not actually, oh my gosh, I gotta move again. I think I need a chiropractor or a masseuse. Okay. Some hauntings are not really haunting. So even if you're in a situation where, like, let's say you saw you know, a woman from the 1800s walk by you down a hallway and you're like, why is she still here? She might not be. That could definitely be residual energy. So it's an event that happened and that energy has sort of stayed stuck in that hallway, and it's just residual energy that keeps playing over and over like a record. So the actual woman you're seeing has crossed. She's in heaven, higher realms, whatever you want to call it. But this energy keeps playing on a loop. And then to get really trippy, time only exists, for us humans. When you get into the other dimensions, it's like, does time really exist the way we think it? So, can this lifetime we're in be playing out? And can we also see past lifetimes playing out in this lifetime? And we think it's a haunting. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I want to say also in regards to the ghosts that would be lingering, they always have those in the higher realms, angels, spirit guides, helping to assist them to cross over. It might just take more time. And on kind of a weird note, I have run into darker energies that actually are blocking a spirit from getting into the light. I don't feel like that's super common, but I did have that happen. A friend, another medium, helped me sort of figure this out. I had a little girl ghost that was hanging out in my house and playing with the lights, and I was able to assist her into the light, and there was a dark being stopping her from crossing over. I never did delve into why that happened, but it opened me up to that, there's all kinds of things going on in the other realms. But anyway, she was able to cross over, and yeah, it's fine now. Do you have to help a spirit cross over? Well, first of all, know what you're doing to do that. The other thing is prayers, calling in divine light can definitely help some of these ghosts that are perhaps confused and sometimes don't even know they're dead. That's another reason for a haunting. They don't even know they're dead. They're stuck very much in whatever was going on, which says a lot about what was going on with them in life. What they were struggling with has now made them super unaware that they have even passed away so that they can cross over. So there can be lots of different reasons. This person asked, have you ever heard disembodied voices, and what are my thoughts on the subject? So yes, I have. I want to tell people that clairaudience, like when I'm talking to angels and guides or your deceased loved ones, I hear that as internal. I don't hear it with my ears. It's not like how I'm talking to you right now. And I have people that argue this with me all the time. Not students, they know that, but like people are like, I heard one time I was at band camp and I heard this get out, and so you're wrong. It is an external voice. And I'm like, dude, that's a disembodied voice. That is not clairaudience. It's different. And if you want to understand the difference fully, go to my clairaudience video. But anyway, disembodied voices happen. It's not your clairaudience because you can't control it. You can't strengthen when that happens. That is more being controlled by the spirit that is talking to you, or even your spirit guides. They have control over if you can hear something or not. What are my thoughts on it? It just happens sometimes. It's a spirit trying to get attention. They will tend to catch you off guard when you're alone because you are in more of a receptive state. You're not being distracted. But it happens. It's no different than actually seeing a more solid entity or ghost. Sometimes they have the strength to be able to manifest that vision for you. My loves, that was the questions. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you for sending in your questions. I really appreciate it. I can tell it's time to go because I'm starting to lose my voice. My leg's not working. I'm losing my voice. My nose is running. I'm just falling apart.